Welcome to the news headlines at this hour. Dozens of domestic workers gathered outside the Ethiopian consulate in Beirut on Thursday. Some inquiring about flights home, others stranded after they were abandoned by employers who claimed they could no longer afford to pay their salaries. Some 180,000 domestic workers in Lebanon, most of them female from Ethiopia, are growing more desperate as the crippling economic and financial crisis sets in, coupled with the coronavirus restrictions. The Labour Ministry organized buses late on Wednesday that transported about 35 women left stranded outside the consulate to a hotel in Beirut after they spent the day with their belongings, some of them crying. Scenes on the local television prompted the ministry to take action, offering the women shelter until they could be flown out of the country. Lebanon's airport has been shuttered since mid-March as a part of measure to help stop the spread of the new coronavirus. Lebanon has been hit by an unprecedented economic and financial crisis made worse by the lockdown related to the virus. The foreign currency crisis has led to many migrants not being paid for months or the value of their salaries declining by more than half. Others have lost their jobs after employers dumped them on the street or outside their embassies. Many are trapped, unable to go home because they cannot afford the price of a repatriation flight or because global air travel is severely restricted. Iran announced 3,574 new coronavirus infections on Thursday, its highest daily count since the outbreak began in February. It was the fourth straight day that the daily caseload had topped 3,000. The previous high was 3,186, recorded on March 30th at the height of the initial outbreak. Health Ministry spokesman Ganesh Jahanpuri said that the surge in the new cases might be a result of wider testing rather than a second wave of infection. He said that Iran had now conducted more than 1 million tests, but the Health Ministry has been taking no chances and has stepped up a public health campaign in recent days, reminding people to protect themselves and observe social distancing. The ministry spokesperson said 59 people had died of COVID-19 over the past 24 hours, taking Iran's overall official toll to 8,071. A total of 1,64,270 people have been tested positive for the virus. A Russian mining company spilled more than 20,000 tons of diesel oil into a river in the Arctic Circle, sparkling the anger of Russian President Vladimir Putin. It is reported that the fuel tank at a power plant owned a subsidiary of Norilsk Nickel leaked on Friday. The company is the world's top nickel and palladium producer. The spill in the city of Norilsk in Siberia turned the river red. Putin has declared a state of emergency over the incident, which allows extra resources to be deployed for the cleanup. Putin spoke on Russian TV on Wednesday, where he said that the officials had only learned about the incident 2 days after it happened. He criticized Sergei Lepin, the company's head. Why did the government agencies only find out about this 2 days after the fact? Are we going to learn about emergency situations from social media? He asked. Putin has ordered an investigation and detained a manager at the plant. The investigative committee, Russia's top law enforcement body, also announced a criminal probe on Tuesday. The Siberia governor, Alexander Ust, told Putin before his address that he was made aware of the spill on Sunday when alarming information appeared in the social media. Russian state media experts believe the spill could harm the region's environment for years. Norilsk Nickel said in a statement on its website that the diesel fuel storage tank was damaged, resulting in the fuel leak. Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison has announced new charges against all 4 former officers involved in the death of George Floyd. The Attorney General announced charges against Thomas Lane, Thao Thao and J. Alexander Kueng, the 3 officers seen alongside Derek Chauvin, an officer who kneeled on Mr. Floyd's neck for over 8 minutes before his death, according to charging documents. Officers were charged with aiding and abetting second-degree murder, while Mr. Chauvin was also charged with second-degree murder following charges of third-degree murder and a second-degree manslaughter. He could be sentenced up to 40 years in prison if convicted on that count. Active duty troops were meanwhile sent home from the nation's capital on Wednesday after Defense Secretary Mark Esper said that the Insurrection Act should be used only in the most urgent and dire of situations. "We are not in one of those situations now," he added. Donald Trump and his allies who support using troops to quell the protests reportedly were taken aback by the comments and felt the Defense Secretary's statement was out of line. His former Defense Secretary James Mattis, writing in The Atlantic, said he was angry and appalled by the president's use of force. Demonstrations continued for a ninth night across the U.S. from thousands of protesters in Washington, D.C. chanting, "I can't breathe," to send vigils and memorials honoring Mr. Floyd and other black Americans killed by the police. The protests persist despite official attempts to keep people off the street with curfew. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has harshly criticized Jewish West Bank settler leaders for disparaging President Donald Trump over what they perceive to be his less than adequate plan allowing Israel to annex parts of the West Bank. Despite what is widely viewed as a pro-Israel peace plan, settler leaders have voiced concern that the maps they have seen leave many settlements as isolated enclaves. They also reject any recognition of a Palestinian state as outlined in the American plan and have pressed Netanyahu to make changes. On Wednesday, David Ahliani, chairman of the Umbrella Yesha Council representing the settlers, told the Haaretz Daily that the plan proved Trump was not a friend of Israel. President Trump is a great friend of Israel. He has led historic moves for Israel's benefit, Netanyahu said in a statement on Wednesday. It is regrettable that instead of showing gratitude, they are those who are denying his friendship. Netanyahu has announced that he will annex parts of the West Bank, including the strategic Jordan Valley and dozens of Jewish settlements in line with Trump's Mideast plan. He has signaled he will begin moving forward with annexations next month. The US plan envisions leaving about one-third of the West Bank, which Israel captured in 1967, under permanent Israel control while granting the Palestinians expanded autonomy in the remainder of the territory. The Palestinians, who seek all the West Bank as a part of an independent state, have rejected the plan, saying it unfairly favors Israel. They have already cut off key security ties with Israel and say they are no longer bound to agreements signed. On Thursday, the Palestinians announced they would refuse to accept the tax money Israel routinely collects from them. The moves that raise concern of a return to violence in the plan is actually carried out. The annexation plan has also come under harsh criticism from some of Israel's closest allies who say that unilateral redrawing and Middle East map would destroy any lingering hopes for establishing a Palestinian state and reaching a two-state peace agreement. Libya's UN-backed Government of National Accord, the GNA, has declared itself in full control of Tripoli after recapturing the capital's airport. General Khalifa Haftar's forces have been besieging the city since April 2019. But intensified military support from Turkey helped government forces drive General Haftar's troops back from the front lines. A new diplomatic effort is underway to try to restart talks on a lasting ceasefire. The recapture of the international airport in Tripoli, long out of use, is the strongest symbolic victory for the Libyan government so far. Libya has been torn by violence since long-time ruler Colonel Muammar Gaddafi was deposed and killed in 2011 by NATO-backed forces. By 2014, General Haftar controlled the east from Benghazi, Libya's second city and the capital of eastern Libya. He tried to unify the country by taking his forces west to attack Tripoli with the aim of unseating the GNA. General Haftar's most important backers are Russia, the UAE, and Egypt. This is Jyoti reporting for Our Voice.